Hello friends. Previously we have discussed about the environmental analysis. Now what do you mean by internal environment analysis? See, the internal environment of a company can be classified into the following broad category based on its resources or the assets. Okay, so how you can do the internal environmental analysis? So if any company want to analyze its internal environment, it should be based on the following resources or the assets. So see, physical resources, it may be like a plant or machinery or the technology, right? Then it may be the financial resources what you are having, then distribution network, then position of the strategic assets, that means what assets you are having, for example like raw material, location advantage you are having, or any regulatory protection you are having, right? Then network or the contacts you are having with outside organization, it may be with the suppliers, customers you are having, the government contacts or any distributors, right? Apart from that, the intangibles, for example like the brand equity, a brand of a company say, or goodwill or the reputation. So these are what, based on that you can do the internal environment analysis. So if there may be a question, right, you have to understand based on what, how, and you are doing the internal environmental analysis. Okay, so what are the major key points so that you should consider while doing the internal environmental analysis? For example, physical resources you are having, financial resources, distribution network the company having, different strategic assets, for example it may be the raw material, location of the company or the regulatory protection, right? It may be the network or the contacts having outside the organization, for example with the supplier, customers and the government or the distributors. Intangibles you are having, for example the goodwill you are having, reputation, brand equity. So these factor you must consider while doing the internal environment analysis. Okay, now very basic. Now see, one more, human resources are also important. Human resources profile, for example skilled or the managerial competencies you are having, that means how much your workers are skilled, what the skill your employee is having, how many are able to represent as the manager, right? Organizational structure, what organizational structure is you can say is strong for you, is good for your organization, right? Then what is the administrative system, what is the culture and value of the organization, employee motivation and relationship. These are what the HR perspectives. Okay, so these are also part of the internal environment analysis. Okay, now one by one we have to now we have here in the previous slide we have come to know what we should consider for doing the internal environment analysis. Now here you see what we will do the tools, internal analysis tools to be used. Okay, what tool I am having if I have to do the internal analysis. Okay, so one by one, so basically these are the type of analysis. Tools means here it will be the types. So first is the gap analysis. Gap analysis refer to the tool to analyze and identify the internal weaknesses as well as the performance deficiency. See, name itself, it is a self-explanatory. Gap means what, it is somewhere gap in the performance, right? So gap means there is a gap between what, so we can say what are the internal weaknesses and the performance deficiency. So what is gap, then why name is gap? So it is the process to compare their current performance with the desired performance. Okay, so this is what, this is the gap, what is the current performance and what is the desired performance. Okay, so gap between that you have to establish, and how you can establish, using the internal weaknesses and performance deficiency, right? This is what the gap analysis, right? Now see, gap analysis, right? So here see, you can get the better idea through the image. See here, see what is your current state and what is your desired state. Current you are not happy, but desired means you are happy, right? That means here the performance is not that much adequate and here the performance is very high. Okay, so the gap between the current state and the desired state is nothing but the gap analysis. And what you do here, you take the action. Okay, and the key steps to bridge the gap. Okay, from the current state to the desired state is only the action plan. Okay, this is very basic about the gap. So gap, you simply remember, gap means current position and the desired position. Okay, the difference between them is basically the gap. And why difference? Because of the internal weaknesses and the performance deficiency. Okay, now see, next tool to evaluate the internal environment is what? The strategy evaluation. Strategy evaluation means what? The process of analyzing the outcome by execution of a strategic plan is referred as strategy evaluation. Means very simple. You see, suppose you have some strategy, right? You have to evaluate that strategy. How you can evaluate that strategy? If the output of that strategy is as per your expectations, then you can say this is a good strategy. For example, say you have a target, you have strategy to pass the CAIIB exam, right? For that you are studying daily 2 hours. Okay, and if you pass the CIB by studying 2 hours daily, then you can say, you can guide your colleagues that the strategy is what? The 2 hours passing daily for the CIB. So simply, it is simple, right? So strategy evaluation means the process of analyzing the outcome by execution of the strategic plan is nothing but the strategy evaluation, right? Now next is important, SWOT analysis. So we have already discussed a SWOT analysis in our previous session. Okay, SWOT stands for S for strength, W for weaknesses, O for opportunity, and T for the threats. This is what the SWOT analysis. Okay, this is important. Now see, SWOT analysis is full model for conducting the evaluation because it takes into the both internal as well as external factors simultaneously. So see here, strength and the weaknesses, these are the internal factor, and opportunity and threats, these are the external factor. Remember here. Okay, so there can be a question, which of the following is not the internal factor, like that. Very simple. Strength, what strength the company having, what are the weaknesses of that company, it is the internal matter of that company. What are the opportunity in the market, what are the threats from outside the company. Okay, these are the external factors, right? Very easy. Now see here, we have to discuss in detail what is the SWOT analysis. Okay, so see, strength and the weaknesses, these are the internal, and the opportunity and threats, these are the external. Now what do you mean by strength? Strength means simply, see, if any company, what is the company of say if you are working in SBI, what is your strength? The brand name is the strength, right? The employee number of employee you are having, this is your strength, right? Then the major government accounts are always with the SBI, so this is the strength of SBI. The number of branches are more than any bank, so this is the strength of SBI. So strength means what the positive points you are having. For example, see here, the characteristics of the business that gives the advantage over its competitor. What your strength, right? Very easy. Now what are the weaknesses means what are the weaknesses of a company. For example, this is the basically characteristics of the business that put into a disadvantage relative to the its competitor. For example, what are the weaknesses for the SBI? Okay, so reputation, right? So you are very much aware, there are a lot of memes on the SBI, so that can be the weakness for SBI. Okay, so managing SBI is having highest staff, right? So managing that much the lot of staff is also one of the weaknesses in the market. Okay, so weaknesses means what are the negative points for the business is having, right? For any private bank, what is the weakness? Then the bank itself is private, so canvassing the government business is much more difficult to the private bank, so it is a weakness for the private bank. Okay, so strength the bank is having, the company is having, weaknesses are the disadvantages the company or a bank is having. Now opportunity means what? Opportunity means what opportunity you are having in the market. So it is the company's external environment that allow to formulate the implement a strategy to improve the performance. Opportunity, see, for example, say see, this is, suppose this is the area. Okay, this is one area at a taluka place, and here Tehsil taluka, and here there is only one bank, SBI. Okay, now ICICI bank is want to open the branch in that area, so ICICI will check what opportunity I am having. Opportunity, so it will be checking oh, there is only one bank, so I am having the opportunity. There are some industries, so I will sell the product like a loan or the different product for the industrial purpose. So basically opportunity means what you are having opportunity in the market, right? And this allow to formulate the implement the strategy. So you are having opportunity to expand, to grow, right? These are basically the opportunity. And threat means what? These are the elements in the external environment that could endanger the business from it may be the profitability or the competitive advantage. So threat means what threats you are having in the business. For example, say SBI. Okay, and we take the competitive, say a small bank like say other bank, say Union Bank. Okay, it is not small, but it is one of the smaller than the SBI. So SBI is having housing loan say at 7.7%. So how Union can compete with this, right? So Union will have around 7.9. Okay, so people will go to the SBI, right? So that means there is a threat in the market to the Union Bank, how they should reduce their housing loan rate of interest. Okay, so it may be, so it is directly basically resulting from the competition in the market, right? Or it may be the profitability. Okay, so threats are important. For example, see, due to the COVID, okay, due to the COVID, there is a lot of decrease in the profit of the banks, right? So that is what the threat to the banking system. So that threat you have to analyze. That's why it is the external part. Okay, so remember, so it is not that much of tough, it is very easy. Strength means what strength the business have. Weaknesses means what are the disadvantages, weaknesses of the business have. These are the internal part. External talking about the opportunity in the market and the threats in the market. Okay, this is the SWOT analysis. Now see here, in short again, see through this image you will again get clarity. What are the strength and weaknesses? These are the internal, right? So strength means what we are having the best, what do we do the best, these are the strength. And weaknesses means what area we receive the most of the complaints. Okay, so these are our weaknesses, obviously, right? Now opportunity means what opportunity are available to you in the market, these are the external. And threats are also the external, means what trends, conditions or the competitor pose threats to us, right? So for example, see here, I will tell you, see a company is manufacturing the headphones, okay, and headphones, right? A new company come into market that launch headphones, right? Here the battery backup is only 3.5 hours, and new company launch it with say 7 hours battery backup. So people will buy that more, right? So this company will be threat to this company, right? So nowadays see China, the Chinese electronics, these are the threats to the Indian electronic market, right? So that are basically the threats, and these are the external factors. Okay, so that is very easy and important, you have to understand. Okay, now fixation of objective means very simple, means you have to fix your goals basically, right? So the process of planning begins with the establishment of the objective. This require the establishing goals for the organization as a whole, right? And then establishing the individual goal for such a subordinate work unit. Okay, so means what? See, fixation of objective means what? You should have first goal which is for the organization. What is the goal of your organization, right? Then you have to set the goal for the individual level. Okay, this is simply the fixation of the objective. Now see, planning premises and the constraint. So friends, we have already discussed in the previous session. Okay, what do you mean by premises? Premises means the assumptions you are doing. Okay, assumptions. And the constraints means what are the obstacles you are having, simply, right? So remember here, recall here, you have to recall, I have already told you in the previously, premises here refer to the assumptions in the businesses. Okay, now planning principle that serve as the basis for the activity of the planning are the premises. See, simply understand here, premises means the assumption. Okay, so the planning principle that serve as the basis for the activity of the planning. Now see here, for planning, what is the basis? For planning, what is the basis? For planning, premises are the basis. So remember here in the exam there can be a question. For planning, what is the basis? For planning, basis is what? Basis is the premises. Means what? If you do any plan, you have the basis, means what? You have the assumption that you will do. For example, if you are planning to pass the CAIIB exam, what is the premises then? Premises means you should have the video course of the banker zone. What is the premises then? You are studying 2 hours daily. right? You are revising on the weekly basis. Okay, these are the premises. Premises means what? These are the assumption. Okay, means what? You are assuming that you will have the banker zone course, you will study 2 hours daily, you will revise weekly basis. Okay, so these are the assumptions. Only if you follow the assumptions, you will pass your plan, that is passing the CIB. Okay, so what is the basis for the planning is the premises, and premises is nothing but the assumption. Okay, now see here. Okay, see friends, therefore it is a projection of the variable such as the current trend in the population, the political and the economic climate, the cost of the production, advertising policy, availability of the labor or the material or the electricity, and many other conditions. So what are the variable? What are the variable in the businesses? See, what is the current trend in the population, what is the political situation, economic situation, what is the cost of production, what is the advertisement policy of the any company, then availability of the labor, whether labor is available, material is available, electricity. These are what? The premises. Now see the term forecast. Forecast means, see, these are the variable which we can assume as the premises. See, for example, see, you are having the electricity. If you want to produce something, you should have electricity. So you are assuming that you will get electricity supply. You are having raw material, you are assuming it. So these are what basically the premises, right? Now the term forecast refer to the making a prediction about the future. So it is very easy. You are you might have gone through the word weather forecasting. Weather forecasting. What is the weather forecasting? Means they will give idea whether today there will be a rain, there will be a sunny day, or whether there will be a cloudy day. Okay, so weather forecasting is very simple. You are guessing about the weather, right? So forecasting means simply again making the prediction about the future, right? So it is anticipated that the quality of fixed variable will serve as the basis for the planning premises. Got it? So what is the quality of fixed variable will serve as the basis for the planning premises. Now here understand, here two things you have to note here. What is the basis for a planning? Premises. What is the basis for the planning is the premises. Now here, what is the basis for the premises? What is the basis for the premises? So for a premises, the quality of the fixed variable, this is the basic. This is the basis. So remember, for I write here, for a planning, what is the basis? Basis is the premises. Okay, and for a premises, the quality of the fixed variable, this is the basis. Okay, so for this is the basis, for this is the basis. Okay, so you have to understand the basis. Okay, so basis means on what basis you have done this. Okay, so you have to understand here, because these are the exam point of view questions. Okay, so planning, what is the basis for the planning is the premises. What is basis for the premises is the quality of the fixed variables. Okay, that two things you have to note. Now evaluation of the alternative course of action means what? What is alternative you are having? How alternative you should choose, right? Very easy. So purpose of evaluating the alternative course of action is to select the most suitable course of action which will achieve the goal, right? So here understand here, what do you mean by here? Because nothing to explain here. Alternative course of action you have to choose. So why? You should have some alternative course of action, right? So always you are having plan A fails, you go for the, if plan A fails, you will have plan B. Plan B fails, there is plan C. So there is always alternative available in the market. Okay, so similarly in the business also we should have the alternative, right? So for example, if there if there is a strike in the bank, what alternative the customer is having, management is having? They will full all the ATMs, right? They will encourage the internet banking, they will encourage the mobile banking. Okay, these are what? The alternative course of action. Very simple. Now what is the criteria for evaluating the alternative? So we here come to know that we should have some alternative course of actions. Now how to evaluate that alternative, right? So evaluation of the alternative. Now see, the main criteria for evaluating the alternative. What is the criteria for evaluating the alternative? Evaluating means you are judging it basically, right? So see, it may be the cost of that alternative, it may be the profitability or break even point. What is the break even point? That means it is a point where your production cost of production is equal to cost of selling price. Okay, so production cost is equal to your selling price. Okay, that means cost price is equal to selling price. So that price is, that point is break even. For example, you have produced for 5,000 rupees, you have purchased something and you are selling it at 5,000 rupees. Okay, so this is what a break even point. If you sell anything more than that, that will be the profit, right? So that is a break even point. Okay, now markets, sales potential, competitive reaction. So that can be the criteria for evaluation of the alternative. For example, what market you are having, what is the sales potential, what is the competitive reaction. Okay, ability to meet the corporate objective, strength and the weaknesses, it is very important, right? Then the timing, right, when you are going to launch the alternative, right? Timing is also important, friends. Okay, so see, generally you can say when the new cars generally launched in the beginning of the year or any festive like a Diwali. Oh, so these are what the timing. Then the intuition means what, gut feeling about success, means how see, for launching the like SUV cars in India. Okay, that was one of the very much bold decision, but the launcher of the SUV cars, they are having gut feeling about success. We should launch it because we are having confidence, we are having gut that it will be successful. Okay, so that is what basically the gut feeling about the success. Okay, now how we can choose that alternative. It is very easy. See, alternative choosing, it entails the determining the numerous alternative on the basis of the current circumstances, right? So you are having number of alternative which you can choose on the basis on the what are the current circumstances in the market or in the business. It entails determining the many alternative to produce various possible paths of the action. So using that, you can have number of paths, number of ways that you can do. Okay, so various path or various ways of action you will get, right, using the alternative. Apart from that, this pertain to the process and the strategy and the policy and the methods. Okay, then the decision may be to implement a different course of action into the production environment. Then the process involve analyzing each and every point at each level. It also forecast with regard to the implementation of the technology. It also the evaluation is done using the techniques and the technology. These provide a genuine definition of the word plan. Okay, so what is this? These are basically what? See, these are what basically you don't need to mug up this. Okay, selecting the alternative. So how to select the alternative? First we should have some we are going to evaluate the alternative course of action. Now how to select, why to select the alternative? Because we are having a lot of options to choose under the current circumstances. Then we are having different ways to deal with the business, right? Apart from that, we can have the process, strategy and the policy. We can have the decision may be made to implement different course of action into the production environment rather than the only new technology. So if you have different ways, if you have different course of action, right, every time you should not adapt to a new technology, you can have the change in the production environment, right? So these are what the basics for selecting the course of action. Okay, you can analyze each and every point, right? You can forecast whether it is good or not with respect to the technology. You can evaluate the techniques and technology, and these provide the genuine definition of the word plan. That means what plan is best suitable for you. About this, the information will be given. Okay, now finalization of the plan means what? When you are putting the finishing touch on any plan, right, you might find the beneficial to examine the following information. Finalization means you are now giving final touch and you are now ready that this plan will be best for our business, right? So here you should consider what are the necessary steps. You should have to take the overview on the what are the necessary steps, who exactly is going to undertake the work, who will do that work, how much longer it will take to complete the work, where the exactly will fall the action take place, how exactly will the work to be completed. So these are what, these point you should overlook when you are going to finalize the plan. Okay, so no need to mug up, just understand. Okay, so what are the steps there, right? Who will do that work, how to complete the work, how much time it will take, right? Then where the exactly will be the course of action going to take, and how exactly work will be completed. Okay, so these things you should consider when you are giving final touch to the plan. Okay, now what do you mean by contingency plan? So contingency means what? Basically the alternative. So you are very much aware about the contingency, right? Contingency means what? Contingency itself, it may happen or it may not happen. So it is an alternative plan. So it is defined as the alternative plan that can put into effort for if the certain key events do not occur as expected. The contingency plan minimizes the risk. For example, see, if you are having the plan, if you are having plan for if there is earthquake, how you can do your business. If you are having the plan ready, that means it is a contingency plan. Earthquake may occur, may not occur, right? So there are some unexpected or the expected event, for that you are ready. Okay, so certain key events that do not occur as expected means, see, occurrence of the earthquake is not that much of expected, right? So we are ready for the event, and using the plans called as the contingency plan. Okay, that minimizes the risk, obviously. Okay, now the contingency plan referred as the plan B because they are always work as an alternative, right? Now contingency plan also defined as the an action of designing to assist the company in responding to an event that may occur or may not occur, right? I already told you the plan is simply it may occur, it may not occur. Contingency event means what? Contingency event means that event means basically it may occur or may not occur, right? So for that purpose we are having the contingency plan to keep our business ongoing. Now the contingency planning refer to more than the preparing the natural disaster. So mainly contingency plans are for natural disaster. Okay, for example, due to the natural disaster, for example say earthquake or the thunderstorm, right? So loss of data may happen, staff may not able to come to the offices, client may not come able to communicate, right? Or any commercial relationship. So there may be a loss of data, or some staff may not able to continue to work due to that disaster. Some client you may lose, some commercial relationship you may lose. So these are what? These are the losses. So if you have the backup plan, contingency plan, that will minimize the risk. Okay, now see, for example, COVID-19 pandemic illustrated how quickly entire organization may change how they work, such as everybody working from home. Okay, so see, nobody was aware about the COVID-19 whether it will happen or not, right? So now onwards every institution is ready to fight such a pandemic, such a epidemic, right? So if because we learn a lot of lesson in the COVID. For example, we started working from home. We as a banker, we are very less doing the work from home, right? Because we are having some constraints, right? Access to the system and all. But in the company, in the private sector companies, in the businesses, they have adopted the concept of working from home. Okay, and it is very much popular and is giving good result also. So these are what the contingency plan. For example, now again, if there is any situation like COVID-19, right, employee are not able to come to the offices, then they can work from home, because this is the contingency plan we are having, right? So this is all about the contingency plan. Okay, now see, contingency plan involve the following. What it involve? You should have some trigger points. It should have some specifically trigger points. Estimating the contingent events are likely to occur. So trigger point means what? See, for example, if we are having a fire, right? Fire in the premises, then there must be the smoke sensor installed in the premises of the company, so that we can have trigger points that now we have to execute our backup plan, contingency plan. If there is a fire, what steps we have to follow? That is what trigger points, right? Now estimating the contingent event like likely to occur. So we have to estimate, right? It is not that much of easy to estimate whether a contingency occur or not, but we can have to estimate. For example, if there is a rainy season, then we can come to know based on the previous year's record of the rain, how much rainfall is there in the area and what precaution we have to take care, right? Now next is what the assessing the impact of each contingent event. We have to assess the impact, right? If there is a lot of flood, then what impact on my business, right? Estimating the potential benefit or the harm of each contingent event. So there are benefit, there can be the harm, right? So what is benefit? How my competitors will lose, right? How I can be having some advantage of the contingency plan, so that estimate must be there. Apart from that, developing the alternative plans means what? Basically having more than one contingency plan, right? Being sure that the contingency plans are compatible with the current strategy. So you should have the plan that must be compatible with your strategy of the business, okay, and that must be financially feasible, okay. So these are all about the contingency plan. Now following points should be included for each potential risk. Now if you are having, we are talking about the contingency, we are talking about the risk, right? So contingency plan, the basis is what? The we have to avoid the risk. Now if we talk about the risk, the what should we consider? Landscape we should consider, trigger we should consider, an overview of the feedback. So we take the feedback from our employee itself, from the client, right, or from the suppliers. Then make people aware about it. So people should be aware about the contingency plan. For example, say mock drills are there, right? So mock drill gives idea about the people. If there is fire, what we should do? There is a that's why we are having the mock drill. Then the important responsibility. So in case of contingency, there must be some responsibility, right? So what person what going to be do, that is the responsibility. Then timeline means what? There must be a time bound. So, okay, so these are what? These are the points which must be included for each potential risk. Okay, now see friends, here you can subscribe our YouTube channel, you can download the application from Banker Zone. This is our CAIIB group, this is our CAIIB channel on the Telegram. Okay, thank you friends.